1-2 again. Inside. The Royals, 2013 World Champions. Vaughn hits on the ground, left side, whip dive, smothers it on the grass, to his feet, throw to first. Oh, he got him! What a play! Bobby Witt Jr. He is spectacular. The Royals come from behind and beat the White Sox 8-5. And who else than Bobby Witt Jr.? Gordon in the air to center. Back at the wall. This game is tied.
Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Crown Talk, your go-to podcast for everything Kansas City Royals. It is Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm Jared Perkins. That's Kevin O'Brien. I guess we're here to talk Royals baseball. I don't know if we want to talk Royals baseball, but we are here to talk Royals baseball. Kevin, how are you doing today, man?
Well, I mean, off day, so they can't lose. So that's always a good. That's always
no
a good
loss
sign.
today.
No losses today. But they did win on Sunday, so they ended the bleeding at least somewhat, and they have a pretty winnable series coming up with Colorado, and another winnable series, I think, against Houston at home. So hopefully they can turn this around, and we can be talking a lot differently next week rather than probably what we're going to talk about in this week's episode.
Yeah, so I guess we have to start with the Yankees series. We'll go down into this rabbit hole. They got swept. They lost 4-1 on Monday, 2-4 on Tuesday, and 3-4 on Wednesday. No offense, and you look at it, the Royals pitching staff never gave up more than 4 runs, right? 4 is a lot in some sense, but you think about that, it's probably some of that's related to the mop-up guys getting in there. But pitching staff remains dominant. The bats just did not show up. I mean, he scored 1 run in Monday's game, only 2 in Tuesday's game, only 3 in Wednesday's game. We've talked about it on past podcasts. It's just gotten significantly worse, it feels like.
Yeah, it was this was kind of a tough series because you're right. It didn't feel like the Yankees really dominated us. They only scored 4 runs every game, right?
Yeah.
So it's you think at a ballpark like Yankee Stadium, which tends to be a little bit more hitter friendly, you say, okay, hey, maybe 4 runs, we got a chance to win. We didn't get a quality start from anybody, but Bubic, went 5 1/3, and he gave up 3 runs. Lugo went 6 2/3, gave up 4 runs. Waka went 5 2/3, gave up 3 runs. I mean, that's what you want from your pitching staff especially against a lineup as tough as the Yankees. But yeah, the offense just didn't come through. I mean, it's I believe we had 6 runs the whole series, but we scored 1 more each game. But you got to do more against that on the road at Yankee Stadium. And like you said, it just kind of feel like the ones that we need to come through are not doing so.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the first game on Monday where Carlos Carrasco, the 38-year-old, threw basically a 1-hitter through 5. What's even more stunning about this box score is there's only one player in the entire lineup who has a hit, and it's Bobby Witt Jr., who had 2, and he hit the solo home run. No one else in that entire lineup got a hit that day. India was 0-3, Perez was 0-3, Massey was 0-4, Michael was 0-4. Then you look at the bottom, it's Biggio, Waters. It's kind of hard to look at a box score and not a single guy could get a hit besides Bobby.
Yeah, against Carlos Carrasco, like you said,
yeah.
38 years old. He's not an overwhelming stuff guy. You'd think he would have a hard time pitching in Yankee Stadium, and I think he had an ERA near 8 going into the game, and it just kind of seemed like the Royals' offense just kind of laid down. And again, we've seen this a lot, is that there's these matchups that you think the Royals should be good matchups for, and they're not doing it. And the offense is almost doing worse. And we can talk more about that in the Tiger series. But I mean, I think this was a prime example of the frustration of this Royals offense, where probably the Yankees' worst pitcher limits us to 1 run and only 1 hitter doing any kind of damage. That's kind of unacceptable. I mean, the Royals got to be better than that. Especially, you think about an ALDS rematch, and that's kind of the effort that you kind of start the series with. Yeah. That's just really disappointing.
I'm going through the FanGraph stats. I shouldn't have done this. I've gone down a rabbit hole. It's gone too far now. There's only three hitters in positive WAR. It's Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Garcia, Mark Canha. Mark Canha is at 0.3. Rest are 0 or below, which means they're all in the negative. There's not a single bat, I think, not even at the 0 level. Everybody else, well, okay, Biggio and Tolbert, but like Tolbert's not hitting really.
Right.
And so like the rest are producing negative wins above replacement for this team. I mean, like Bobby can't do it all on his own.
Well, I mean, yeah, you combine like that projected lineup, right? Like you just look at if you combine everybody but Bobby and Garcia,
Yeah.
you got -5, minus 1.1, minus 1.8, -2, minus 2.2, minus 2.3 WAR.
Oof.
Like, I mean, and that's it, and like that means that your starting 9 is costing you 2 games. Like if you had a AAA lineup, theoretically, the Royals would be like 11, would be like 11 and 12 instead of 9 and 14. That's kind of how bad this is going. But you can't switch a AAA lineup like that. I mean, we obviously have brought up guys from AAA. We brought up Drew Waters, and it's kind of more of the same. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you feel like this isn't going to happen forever. Some guys are going to turn it around, but I think the question is when and who. And I don't know how long you give the patience to with a lot of these guys, because right now it's just there's a lot of bleeding right now in the lineup, and hopefully this week is a good opportunity to turn that around. But I mean, it kind of felt like this was a crucial weekend, and they kind of really just let it kind of slip away in a lot of senses.
Yeah, and I mean, we went from like being a 500 team to just completely losing 6 out of 7 games, basically, or 6 or 5 out of 6. I can't remember what it was. But it's frustrating too. And we'll talk about like MJ getting sent down in a bit. But like you said, we're not getting anything out of Renfroe. Like I'm going through the box score of game 2. It's not any better. Like at least there was 5 hits in that game, but they still only scored 2 runs. Like they're not hitting in situations where they have an opportunity to drive in runs. Like MJ hit a solo bomb in that one, which was like good to see. Like that guy's just needed to get something going, and he just hasn't been able to. But then he was sitting in most of the Tiger series. Then you go into game 3, and it's like still only 5 hits for this team. Like there's nothing more. They got 3 runs that time, so a couple more Aubrey opportunities came through. But it's just like if you can't hit with runners in scoring position, like there's just going to be no offense there. And they've had opportunities to score. Like we think about even before maybe this week was like a little bit different because the offense just was so bad. But even before this week, like there were opportunities to score. Like, it's not like they didn't have opportunities to score. They just had so many runners left on base.
Yeah. And I get it to a point. Like I feel like this offense is streaky, and I feel like they're always built for the big home run. But they're ranked 30th in home runs, so they're not hitting home runs. And and I get it. You played in Detroit. That's not really a very hitter-friendly ballpark. But I mean, Yankee Stadium going against guys. It's not like they went up against Garrett Cole. I mean, they went up. I mean, Max Fried is pretty good, game 2 starter. But I mean, Carrasco in game. And I can't even remember who the game 3 starter was for the Yankees. But
gosh, I'm blanking on this. I shouldn't.
I think it was. If I'm looking at, but it's, I mean, it wasn't like, it was like, oh my gosh.
Big name that you got to watch out for.
Clark Schmidt.
Oh,
okay. Like
he's fine.
He's fine. First Clark Schmidt start this year, right off the IL. So, I mean, it wasn't like we were facing like some studs, right? It's not like we were facing Rodon. It wasn't like we were facing Cole. And yet we couldn't do anything with it. And the guys that you would expect to do something, the Michael Massey, whose swing is tailor-made for Yankee Stadium because, he doesn't have a ton of exit velocity, but he has he develops good launch on the ball. He hits the sweet spot pretty well. So you think, oh, Michael Massey could have a big game.
Yeah.
And he didn't, or Vinny Pasquantino, and they didn't. And I just think the lack of power is just kind of alarming. Like I get it. It's April and parks are hard in April because of the weather. But I mean, I think it's just like the sweet. We're not seeing anybody really like drive into balls, and like we're watching like the Cincinnati Reds win 24-2, and they're just absolutely like launching balls. And it's like I feel like we haven't seen that in a week of somebody like really like launching into a ball where you feel like, oh yeah, he hit that out of the park.
Well, we keep saying like they've been kind of BABIP too, but because they hit the ball hard, but it's been right at people. But it's like they're just not finding the gaps. They're not doing anything. I don't know if I have much more to add on this Yankee series.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's bad, but yeah,
We can shift into Detroit, and I think this goes kind of both Yankees and Detroit. But the positives, at least, of Steven Cruz and Evan Sisk, two new relievers who've come up and joined the team. I think both have pitched scoreless outings, right? 3 2/3 from Steven Cruz. Evan Sisk has gone 2 1/3 innings, and those are over like Cruz has thrown 5 games, Sisk has thrown 2 games. So some positives there. Like the bullpen's been dominant with those two guys in there.
I mean, I really like what they bring, and again, these were two guys traded for in the Michael A. Taylor deal, and we know that their control is kind of iffy. It's like their control isn't the best, but they have stuff. And you look at like Evan Sisk in the Yankees series, he's he had a 114 stuff plus on his fastball, 105 in his sinker, 109 on the slider. I mean, the guy's got stuff. I mean, he can pitch. And same thing with Steven Cruz. The fastball, the sinker, those are real plus pitches. I mean, I'm kind of excited about these guys. I know it's like these are two relievers. Like I think Sisk, if he keeps this up, it's like even if Sam Long's healthy, it's like, hey, we really don't need you. And I'd rather have Steven Cruz over Chris Stratton right now. I'd rather, if you're going to have a mop-up guy, give me the guy with some upside in Steven Cruz over the veteran who can't hit 92 or hits 92 like on a good day.
Yeah, no, I think that those two guys have been impressive, and it helped kind of with some of the momentum going into Detroit, but like pitching staff took a little bit of a step back. I think just mainly Cole Reagans, right? Gave up 5 earned in 4 innings. I think in game 2 of that series, Michael Lorenzen went 4 2/3, gave up 4 earned, but you kind of expect him to give up 3 or 4 a game somewhat. Like that's just kind of who he is. And then like Seth Lugo still pitched a quality start, even though he gave up 3 earned. I mean, he probably went out further than he actually needed to go in that game, but like you're just kind of trying to win a game at some point. And then Michael Walker went 5 1/3, 2 earns in the last game. So like there's a little bit of a step back, I think, there with Cole Reagans. They just seem to be sitting on certain pitches with him in that game. He still struck out 8, so like that's a positive sign. But like this pitching staff can't dominate every single time. That's why you need the bats to show up.
Yeah, you can't win like 1-2 or 2-1 or 2-0. Like it's just you got to score runs. You got to get to that 4 or more runs threshold, which we've seen that when they hit that 4-run mark, they tend to win those games, and when they don't, they tend to not. Reagans, he had a great stretch. It's like a game like this was bound to happen. The Tigers are familiar with him. They're a division foe. A lot of those guys have seen him. They had a good game plan. And that's what the Tigers do. And but like you said, he still struck out 8 batters. It wasn't like he was getting knocked around, and he made some mistakes. His command wasn't like 100%. But like you said, like the offense has to come up with runs, like a Seth Lugo start, right? For example, or Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen is not going to shut out guys. He's not going to throw shutouts. He's a guy. He's like, I'm going to give you like 5 or 6 innings. I'm going to give up 3 or 4 runs. I got to be able to win 6-4 games. I'm not going to win a game where we're only scoring 2 or 3 runs. That's just not him. But that's fine. He's a 5 starter. That's all you really need. Like you don't need him to be a Cy Young winner. You just need him to be serviceable, and that's what he's been doing.
Yeah, and I have a hard time blaming the pitching staff at this point.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Even if like Reagans is having a bad start, okay, cool. You lose that one game, he gave up 5 earned, but like the rest of those games, I think were pretty winnable, right? Like, if you give those pitchers a lead too, they may not give up 4 runs or 5 runs. Like if it's different when you're coming out as a pitcher and you're like, okay, Royals scored 3 or 4 runs in the first or second inning of the game or third inning of the game. Because like I don't think Lorenzen gave up a run until the bottom of the third. So like it's not like the Royals didn't have opportunities to score there. So it's like I don't want to put all the pressure on the pitching staff because like the hitting is obviously not backing them up either.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing is like you look at again, it wasn't as good a series as the Yankees series, but like you said, we're seeing a lot of the Royals like stranding like these opportunities. Yes, they score a run, but then it's like they leave 2 on, and then things just go kind of silent after that. Yeah, and it's just like whether it's an adjustment, whether they're not adjusting quick enough, whatever the reason is, but again, like if you're a pitcher and you're like, man, like my offense can only only score 1 run in the first 4 innings. I mean, how you supposed to feel on that? Then it's like the
Yeah.
pressure is like, okay, I gotta throw a shutout game, or I gotta limit them to 1 run, and then stuff snowballs, which I think is what we kind of saw in games 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Is things kind of snowballed from them. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is a close game, and they kind of got away from them in a game that should have been like, we all like complain like, oh, they gave up 7 runs. Like, well, we only scored 1, so what does it matter? Like,
Yeah.
it's they got to be better than that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's we kind of talk about, let's get in a little bit too before we go to the positives of the last game of MJ Melendez being sent down, right?
Yeah.
Mark Cannon was activated from Omaha from the injury that he had. It seemed like he was ready before he was even up on the 10-day IR. So you get Mark Cannon back, which is a positive. That's something the lineup needs. But I keep seeing like Royals fans being like, we need to bring up guys from Omaha. Like, we need to get rid of Renfroe. I don't know if there's a better option. Like, we're seeing Drew Waters play every day now. Like, is that really a better option than MJ? Probably right now in general, but like over the long term, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's my problem too. It's like, I've done the data looking at the TJ stat stuff. It's
Yeah.
all these Omaha hitters are very flawed, and you're
Mhm.
doing this against AAA hitting, and I know. I know there's some possibilities. I know John Rave, is one that's a popular name, but John Rave also has his issues with with his K rates and things
Yep.
like that. It's not like he's Luis Arias down in Omaha. And and Nick Lofton I know is a big one, but there's just two issues with Nick Lofton. The one is like, Nick Lofton might not be good defensively, and I hate to say this, but it's just, he might, like, we have this idea, or I think Royals fans have this idea that, oh, Nick Lofton's like Mr. Utility, and really all we saw with him was second and third. And I'll be honest, I did not like him at second base very much last year. I'd rather
No.
have had
First
Massey
base was
there,
bad too.
and first base was bad, and just his lateral movement didn't look great last year.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, man, I'd rather have Massey. Even if I'm like, man, I'd rather have Adam Frazier out there. That's like, to me, it's like, that's a detriment to Lofton. And I don't
Mhm.
think, and Lofton hasn't really played all that much outfield. I mean, he's been an infielder in Omaha. And
Yeah.
and so I think that's, yes, Lofton has great OBP, but we've seen on the quality of contact, it's not really been there. And we know that for a guy, we see for success, what translates, right, is that quality of contact. And we saw it get exposed last year in that small sample.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, does he deserve a shot? Sure. But I'm not saying like he should be like starting every day at right field. To me, it's just like, maybe if Kevin Biggio doesn't work out, you can bring up Nick Lofton. But even then, like, I don't understand the hype right now.
Yeah, we talked about like wanting to give Cam Devaney a shot, but he's injured now. So
Yeah,
like
he's
you don't
injured.
have a chance there. Jordan Groshans is kind of a washed up prospect who just hasn't really panned out. He's been fluctuating between AA and AAA. So it shows
Yeah.
you kind of how the Royals feel about him.
Mhm.
And then it's like Harold Castro is hitting well, but like what are you going to get there? Like he's probably the option if you're going to get rid of Biggio and try to give another utility guy a shot. Like they just traded for Nick Gordon, so maybe again he's another guy that you give an option, but when you look at the outfield, I think that's where a lot of the complaints come from. It's like you got Waters and Renfroe there now. Look at the 40 man. Like Joey Weimer and Tyler Gentry are your two 40-man options. Joey Weimer slashing 164, 284, 284.
Yeah.
Tyler Gentry slashing 139, 195, 333. And a guy you formerly had on the 40-man roster, Nelson Velasquez, is slashing 174, 264, 239. Like those are your options.
No
and
power.
I don't
Yeah.
like John Ray. We've talked about, you have to add him to the 40 man. So then you got to DFA somebody, which is probably pretty easy because you can do it to Biggio, Renfroe, whoever. But I just like there just isn't a solution in Omaha.
Yeah, and it's like, and I don't know, and I don't think it's going to be. I mean, I feel like a lot of those Omaha guys are stopgaps to like a better option. I don't think these are like solutions, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, Nick Lofton is not a solution. He's a stopgap until you maybe get somebody that you can trade for better. But even the other ones, like, I mean, you and I have kind of been on this. Like, I know there's a lot of Joey Weimer fans out there, and I kind of liked him being thrown in, but the kind of idea of Joey Weimer, and then when you actually kind of watch and see what the stats of Joey Weimer, I mean, you look at his swing, and it's just, it's a lot of movement. It's very busy. You would think with this guy's athleticism, he would have less of that. And it feels like I understand why he struggled in Milwaukee because it's like there's so much going on. And like anybody that has any plus stuff is going to get it by him, and it's not going to make it much better when he gets up here. And then we're essentially looking at Drew Waters 2.0. Whoopee.
Yep. Yeah, and then you go down to Double A, and it's like Spencer Nivens, Jack Cagliano, and Gavin Cross. None of them are ready, so it's like you can't just force them into the big leagues because your roster's struggling. But let's turn to some positives.
Yes,
last game of the Tiger series. Pulled off a W. Timely hitting by Drew Waters. Mark Canha just was incredible. Like, this guy's been actually really, really solid. One of the positives outside of Bobby Witt Jr. in this lineup. Michael Walker, we kind of talked about, went 5 1/3, 2 earned, 5 Ks. Bullpen, besides Daniel Lynch giving up an earned run, really dominated. Schreiber pitched well. Estevez went 2 innings, which was incredible because Ursic's been out with the injury. But just a much-needed win before the homestand.
And that's why I wrote about this yesterday. Like in the 3 stars, I mean, Michael Wacha I gave was the 2nd star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is why you got Wacha the extension. This is why you picked him up. It's like he's a gamer. He is a veteran. It's like he picked up the ball. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't like he got a bunch of strikeouts, but he kept the Tigers at bay. And I think that's what's so intriguing about this team. This team, like, you feel like they should be like Rockies level bad. Like it's like the fact that we have 9 wins feels like really like shows how really great this starting pitching has been, and the bullpen for the most part. Because I feel like just this team is just, you think like, man, this is as bad as 2023, at least on the offensive end. But the pitching is the difference, and Wacha has been like the difference. And I think you brought up some other good bullpen points. Harvey was out. Schreiber had stepped up and really did well. Daniel Lynch gave up a run, but he didn't get overwhelmed. And then Carlos Estevez, again, the strikeout numbers aren't sexy, but he gets the job done.
Yep. And he's got the confidence to do it.
Yeah. And the leadership. And it's like, and this is a guy, I mean, I love Scott Barlow, but Scott Barlow never like felt like he had that swagger or that demeanor going into ninth. It always kind of felt like, well, I feel good at Scott Barlow, but God, it could go wrong any second, especially if he gets people on. Or if
that's
like,
how Joakim Soria was, though. Like, he didn't have the stuff necessarily, but like he just had the confidence.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's just you got to have that swagger for a closer, and Estevez has that, and I think you have Estevez, Urseg once he's healthy. I don't know what's going to happen with Harvey, but I think that it's nice to have bullpen guys who are like, okay, I'm in less leverage roles and I can kind of succeed in that. And if they get put in that situation, like Schreiber, he's like, well, I've been here before. I can handle it. It's just I can't handle it every day like I was in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least we had a positive to talk about this week. So that's at least fun. It's frustrating. Like, this is not a week you want to have. I think before we kind of go into a minor league update, just talking a little bit about like what are your expectations for this team now, right? What are we, 9-15 at this point?
9-14.
9-14. So are we like overly concerned? I mean, it's not May yet. I guess that's a positive, right? We're just barely a month into the season. I don't know. For me, I don't think I'm changing too many expectations. I think my expectations was we were going to win 90 games. I don't think that's realistic, of course, anymore. My hope is to still be somewhat of a 500 team. I think this team has the talent to do so. And you look at the pitching staff, like the bats can't stay this cold forever.
Yeah, and I think I would say that my feeling is like initially I was like, oh, I think this team might lose 90 games, and I'm starting to backtrack a little bit from that because you look at the rest of the division, right? Like the Twins 7-15, the White Sox 5-17. The Guardians are only 12-9. It's not like the Guardians are like suddenly like really far away from us.
Yeah,
and even the Tigers to an extent. So the division feels very close. We have an easier schedule coming up. Obviously, we have the Rockies and the Astros coming up, but we also have the Rays on the road. The Rays have been inconsistent. You want to talk about another team that we're playing coming up? That's been a mess is the Orioles. We have them, and then we have a 4-game set against the White Sox at home May 5th through the 8th. So there's some this team could look very different on May 10th, right? Yep. This team could be a above 500 team by May 10th. The offense could suddenly be coming around. So you're right. Like I feel like I think this is an 80s win team. Is it going to be on the high ends of the 80s, or is it going to be the low end of the 80s? I'm still not sure. I think we'll have a better idea in May. I think we all know that JJ is going to make changes with this roster at some point. I think the first up, but trades don't happen in May, right? Yeah. It's like, teams are not going to trade dudes in May. There's nobody else that's going to be on the trade market. That's not going to happen until June. So we just got to ride things out, and then we'll probably see what JJ does. I think regardless, we're going to be buyers. I don't even care if it's like, hey, we're going to even if we're not like, hey, not out of playoff contention, I could see them doing a trade to kind of retool things. That just kind of seems like JJ's MO. So, so I think, 80 something wins is still in play, but I like you said, I don't think it might not be on the high end. It might be closer to that 86, maybe that 84 range. Might be a more realistic projection.
Yeah, I think I'll hit the panic button. Like you said, if we hit May 10th after having that easy schedule and we're still like below 500 in some way, like significantly below 500, like we kind of currently are now.
Yeah,
that's when I'll be concerned. If we're like 6 or 7 games below 500 on May 10th, I'll be worried.
Yeah, I would be too, because it's just, I don't think the schedule is that people forget about that. This was a tough schedule. The Twins obviously haven't been tough, but Guardians are a winning team. Yankees are a winning team. Tigers are a good team. So this wasn't like April last year when we had like the White Sox and and the Astros. It's and like I said, the Orioles have been kind of down. So
yeah, and I to me, I think my biggest concern is like Salvador Perez right now, but that's been really, really cold, and he's hitting in your cleanup or third spot. I struggle with that because like if Salvi doesn't turn it around, like there's no one else to really lean to for the 3-4 spot. Like Vinny's kind of been what he's been. He's dropped down to like 7th in the lineup, I think, in the last Tigers Royals game. So if you're not getting anything out of Vinny and Salvi over this next like month stretch or like 2 or 3 week stretch, like that's when I'm really concerned.
Yeah, but when I look at Salvi, looking at his Fangraphs and his StatCast data, his exit velocity is identical to last year. His barrel rate is higher, 16.4% is higher. His hard hit rate is 2 or 3.6% higher.
Yeah.
His launch angle's the same. He has a 238 WOBA and a 384 X WOBA. So, I think Salvi is going to be fine. I think eventually those things will start to fall. Vinny on the StatCast data, the barrel, he might just be who he is because the hard hit rate's down about 4.9%. Exit velocity is the same. Max EV is the same. He's launching more. Mm-hmm. But his career barrel rate is 7.6%, and he has that 7.6%. The reality is Vinny just might be who he is, and it might be like a slightly better Sean Casey at this point. And that's fine to have, but is that your 3-hitter? Is that your guy that's like you're gonna need to depend on like in that spot? Yeah. He might benefit from going down the order. The only problem is, like you said, who goes in the 3-hole? Nobody's really proven that they can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Going quickly into a minor league update. So we have a Jack Kaggs versus like Nick Kurtz here. Both first basemen, both taken in the same draft. Of course, Kurtz, I believe, went after Kaggs.
No, right? Before. He went
before Kaggs, yes.
Yeah.
So everybody now is like, call up Kaggs. We talked about this kind of at length on draft day. So I do like a college baseball MLB draft podcast outside of this one. Like Nick Kurtz was probably one of the most polished hit tools in the entire draft class, on top of the power, right? He had Jack Kaggs type power with a hit tool that was like near JJ Weatherholt.
Right.
And so like you're looking at a guy that of course was going to make a quick, massive run through the minor leagues. I'm just kind of looking into it now here, but like Kurtz, I believe like his strikeout rates were insanely low. Right. I'm going to pull it up here because I'm curious we can showcase it, like the difference between him and Kaggs. So like when Royals fans are like, oh, Kurtz is up, Kaggs needs to come up. Kurtz had an 80% contact rate. He had a 13.5% chase rate. That was in the 96th percentile in all of college baseball.
Wow.
He had a 78% barrel rate. He still had EVs in the 97th percentile, and his 90th percentile exit velo was 99 in the 99th percentile, 110.4. So like he had the power, he didn't chase, he didn't whiff, and then you go and look at Cags. This is a guy who was 38.3% chase rate.
Right.
That was in the first percentile. So there's a different profile here.
Right, and I think that's something we talked about, and like you said, it's I worried about the Nick Kurtz, Jack Caglione, because it's just everybody's going to see that like, well, the Royals should be doing the same. Their offense is just as bad as the A's, but like you said, this is an apples and oranges situation. Kurtz was one of the most polished hitters in the draft, and one of the most polished that we've seen in a long time, and it makes sense for him to move up. I mean, also a big thing is Kurtz was in AAA, right? Like Kurtz was already one step away from being in the major leagues, and he was performing really well at AAA. Cags is still at AA, and Cags has not necessarily put up Kurtz level production. There's been some promise, and the potential is there for Cags, and there's some serious upside. But yeah, I think it's just an apples and oranges comparison, and I get that Royals fans are frustrated. I get that we're excited about Jack Caglione, but we just need to cool the jets and just say, okay, let the guy develop. And I think one of we've talked about with Dave Lesky, it's a good thing for him to struggle, right?
Yeah.
We saw with Jackson Holiday, when you go up and you don't struggle, and then all of a sudden you struggle, you have like a monumentally bad like debut. And I think that would be really bad for Cags if he came up like a Jackson Holiday, went like 0 for 30, and then like all of a sudden he's going back to AAA, and everybody's like, oh, he's a bust. Yeah, Jack Caglione, another bust. Jay Moore 2.0. Gosh, it happened again. So I think they're doing the right thing with Cags, with moving along slowly to let him have success, but also more importantly, work through those struggles.
Yeah, and I'll say like Cags had a higher on base percentage than Kurtz in college baseball. It's because like Cags, his issue's never been like his feel for the strike zone. Like he's got pretty good plate discipline. He just chases, and because he could hit most pitches out of the strike zone. And I think the concern that a lot of people have had is like, as you start facing better pitching every single day, as you get higher up in the levels, like it gets harder to hit pitches out of the strike zone. Right. So like Cags has to figure out how to kind of shift his mentality. Be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't chase those pitches. Yes, I could hit those like a million feet over the fence when I was in college, but now you're probably not going to be able to do that with a wood bat and like pitchers constantly being better.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the reality, is that pitchers are better. Competition's better. Yeah. Double A is a good level for him because, this is kind of where like a lot of the good prospects, pitching prospects, are coming up to. And so it's good that he's being challenged. I think, like I said, I think the Royals have the right game plan. I mean, like I said, Bobby took time. It's not like Bobby went from like, Double A to the majors right away. I mean, he took a year. Even though there are a lot of people that wanted him earlier. And even then, Bobby went through some of his ups and downs when he was a rookie. So like, let's let him continue to develop.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, Nick Kurtz had 78 walks and 173 at-bats.
Unbelievable.
Or sorry, 260 plate appearances. So he had a 531 OBP. He only struck out 42 times in 260 plate appearances, where Cags struck out 26 times his senior year and 316 plate appearances. So like Cags does not strike out. So like I think he's going to strike out more because of the chase rates. But like in college, he figured out a way to cut his strikeout percentage. Like he had 58 strikeouts his sophomore year, and he cut that down to 26 strikeouts his junior year. So like he's making improvements. He's making adjustments. He shows that he can do it. Like he's in his first full season of pro ball. So I think we just have to be patient so he can have time to make those adjustments instead of trying to have to make them against big league pitchers.
Right. And you got to think about it too. It's like he's also, I mean, this was a guy who pitched in college that's, still like adjusting to being a position player and all those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of development there that happens that I just don't think people see at the surface level. And again, Cags also plays a position that Vinny Pasquantino plays, that Salvador Perez needs to play. There's not like there's a definite place that Cags can be right now.
Yeah, I agree. We already talked a little bit about Nick Lofton. I don't know if you have anything else you want to dive into.
No, I think that, but I think maybe talking about Ramon Ramirez. I think he's been like this. I think for like prospects, I mean, Ramon Ramirez, he's kind of an interesting prospect to me, and I've been kind of paying attention to him. Hitting 234, but 351 OBP, 574 slugging, 925 OPS, 0.69 walk to K ratio, has 4 home runs. I mean, there's a lot to like about this guy. I mean, he is like, I know that we have Blake Mitchell, but it's like you got Carter Jensen, Blake Mitchell's hurt, and what we're seeing from a Ramon Ramirez is to be honest a little bit more impressive than Mitchell, at least like the initial. Again, Ramirez only has 12 games. Mitchell has had 111 games at Low A Columbia, but Ramon Ramirez is walking just as much as Blake Mitchell, striking out less. And I feel the power is a little bit more natural. He pulls the ball more than Blake Mitchell does. I think Blake Mitchell is a better athlete. Like, I think Blake Mitchell can probably play off catcher more likely than Ramon Ramirez.
Probably tomorrow.
Right, exactly. But I don't know. I mean, I think right now it's like Ramon Ramirez is kind of a guy that's really fun to watch right now, and I think he's a prospect that's kind of maybe being slept on because everybody's kind of talking about Carter Jensen or talking about Jack Caglione. That we're not really like paying attention to what's going on in Low A Columbia.
Yeah, and I think Ramon Ramirez, like, he kind of reminds me of the Salvi path in some sense, like just put up insane numbers in rookie ball. Like you said, like Ramon Ramirez is rocking at a 16% clip right now in Low A.
Right.
So it's really impressive. He's 19 still, or it might be 20 now.
No, I think he's
19 in 10 months. So he's close.
Yeah, he's close. He's going to be 20 in June.
Yeah. So like this is a guy you're probably going to see in high A if he keeps performing over the next month or two. And I think he could push the needle on that for the Royals. Like this might be a guy, like if Ramon Ramirez shows that he can kind of produce at both A ball and high A, maybe you're trading a Blake Mitchell at the deadline. You're trying to get a good piece. Like I think the Royals won't trade Mitchell unless they know they can secure somebody with control. It's somebody who's going to like play a long-term role on this team. They have confidence in that too. Like I don't think you're going to trade a Blake Mitchell for like a Taylor Ward from the Angels.
No.
You're going to try to get like a top tier type piece, and maybe he's that guy at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because Blake Mitchell's hurt and he's getting back into form, so it's easy to kind of beat up on Blake Mitchell. Who knows if Blake Mitchell was in high A ball and just crushing it, then maybe this would be a different conversation. But it shows kind of the depth that the Royals have in terms of the catching position. I mean, you got Jensen. Jensen's kind of struggling a little bit, but Jensen's still showing good plate discipline. So, so it's not all is lost. And he's traditionally been a slow starter, if I recall. So, I'm not freaking out on Carter Jensen right now, even though the numbers are a little low in Double A. And then obviously, Ramirez, and then you also have some really like Luka Tresh, who's kind of a little bit of a sleeper,
Yep.
So there's some really good depth in the catching system for the Royals that could be some good capital to have should they make some trades.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. I think that's all I have for the minor leagues. Want to do like a quick preview of the next upcoming series and then do some final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do it.
We got the Rockies and the Royals, so at least we got a homestand. Ryan Feltner will be going against Chris Bubich on Tuesday, tomorrow, or today. German Marquez with his 8.27 ERA will be going against Michael Lorenzen on Wednesday. And then Chase Dollander, the rookie, will be going against Cole Reagans on Thursday. What's your prediction this series?
First off, I'm just really mad that the Rockies made that Thursday game a 110 game. Like, who's scheduling 110 during the school year? I mean, I know you do have to do it, but I'm just like, my God, because I originally had tickets for the Thursday game. Yeah. And that would have been Dollander versus Reagans, and that would have been awesome. But I was like, I can't miss work. So like I ended up like switching it for Wednesday. But I think this is a sweep. And maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think this is a sweep. I mean, the Rockies are a mess. Ezekiel Tovar is on the IL. They're bringing up like all their prospects. Michael Talia has been a fantasy bust right now. I mean, I just think the Rockies are a mess, and it's like we talk about a get right series for the Royals. Yeah. This is a get right series, and again, the Rockies feel like the pitching's not good. We have good matchups that we're facing. I mean, I think all those pitchers are ones that we can get after, and And I think too, it's like Bubich, Reagans. I think they could have double-digit strikeout days against this lineup, which has a lot of swing and whiff problems.
Yeah. I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to say 2-1. I feel like we're going to get the old pitcher that the Royals have never seen before, called up from AAA, Chase Dolander, going to dominate the Royals, and they're somehow going to lose the Cole Reagan game.
And the Rockies, I'm looking at their stats. They're 7th in walks per 9. So I mean, which actually is pretty good. That means like they're the 7th lowest. But it's like, I hope that the Royals this series is coming out swinging. It's because I think that's the problem with the Rockies is they don't strike out. They rank 30th in 29th in K per 9. So they don't strike out a lot of guys, but they don't walk a lot of guys. That's kind of like, hey, they're being predictable. Yeah. And we've talked about this Royals lineup needing to be more aggressive, that they have one of the highest first pitch strike rates in the major leagues. Mm-hmm. So it'd be nice for them to kind of come out and just start swinging, and hopefully that can get them out of their slump, especially guys at the top of the lineup like India and Pasquantino and Sal.
Yeah, you come away with a sweep. You're 12-14. You're right back in it. What do you think about the Astros series? They don't have the probables yet, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Astros, Royals. Astros are 10-11 this year.
I like this Astros. I think we're going to see some Jekyll and Hyde with this Astros team, and this series feels a lot like it was leading up last year's series when the Royals swept the Astros. I think the Astros are still trying to figure themselves out. I don't think they're a very good hitting team outside of Minute Maid Park. I think a lot of those guys are still trying to figure it out. The pitching staff, I mean, I think according to Roster Resource, like our projected that we'd see, it would be Wisniewski, Hayden Wisniewski, Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown. That's if everything falls in line like it should.
Yeah.
Hunter Brown did really well in Houston, did really poorly in Kansas City. Framber's a dude. That will be a tough matchup. I feel like we've always had trouble with him. So Wisniewski's going to be the wild card. So I kind of go 2 out of 3. I think the Royals win 2 out of 3, but I think they lose probably the Framber start.
Yeah, Wisniewski, for having a 3.91 ERA, he has given up 6 home runs already on the season.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. And that's what I'm saying. I think like if the Royals can get that momentum from the Rockies series, I think that sets up Wisniewski to get kind of blown up because you said he does have that home run issue. But he does strike out a lot of guys. So it's like the Royals also got to work on that.
Yeah. Like Cam Smith is turning it around, but like Jordan Alvarez has been god awful. Christian Walker struck out 27 times in 21 games. But this is not and they're going to have to hit in Kaufman. So like, and you got Altuve going to have to play left field in Kaufman.
Right. So I mean, you look at it. Altuve's a dude, but yeah, you're right. Minus 0.1 WAR for Jordan Alvarez, minus 0.4 for Christian Walker. Yainer Diaz minus 0.7. I mean, they're in just as much a funk as we are in some cases. I mean, so it's not like, the Astros are this kick butt team. It's they have to do some soul searching as well in terms of where they're going as an organization.
Yeah, the only positive they got is at least they're hitting the long ball, right?
Yeah,
they got home runs. Like we're all,
but they know that. But they have Minute Maid Park.
Yeah, for sure. And they got the short porch.
They got the short porch, and they know they get hitters that can do that. That's why they got Ishak Paredes, because he can do that. Yeah.
Well, that kind of wraps it up for us. Kevin, do you have any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
I mean, I think we gotta. I'm still hopeful. I'm not really willing to jump off the ledge now. If we lose 2 of 3 or get swept by the Rockies, maybe that changes. But I think hopefully this is a positive week for the Royals and for Royals fans.
If we get swept by the Rockies, we're not doing a podcast next week. I can't do it.
I know. I don't know what we'll do instead. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a politics podcast or something instead.
I don't know if I want to do that.
I don't know, right? I don't know if I want to do that either.
We'll just become a hockey podcast.
Yeah,
we'll start covering hockey for a week until the Royals start winning baseball games.
Yeah, I mean, none of my Sharks aren't in the playoffs, but I like the Battle of Ontario. I could talk about Ottawa and Toronto.
I used to be a Bruins fan, so I'll figure something out.
I'll figure it out. Like I might move to Canada in 5 years. I don't know. So,
well, that does it for us, your future hockey podcast. I'm Jared, that's Kevin. Check us all our stuff out on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Spotify, the Apple, wherever you get your podcasts on your favorite podcast streaming platforms. We're excited to keep doing this each week. And until next time, go Royals.
Go Royals.